Tell me where you were born, Paddy.
Well, I'll tell you where I was born now. Do you know the Lazy Bean above? The Lazy Bean Cafe?
Yeah.
I was born overhead the Lazy Bean Cafe. And in my day, most of the babies were born at home. Nowadays they go to hospitals and all that, but in my day babies were born at home. So I was born at home, which is my home. The Lazy Bean was my home. And I was living over the Lazy Bean. And I was born in the first room over the Lazy Bean. And I was born, the doctor who attended me was a Dr. Heffernan. He lived in the first house in the Mall. And himself and the midwife, they delivered me up in the bedroom. And about 30 years later, Dr. Heffernan died. And his daughter had one of his cash books. And she gave me a loan of it. And I looked up my delivery. And there it was, the date and the birth. £3.50 a crown. That's what I cost. £3.50 a crown.
Tell me what school was like, Paddy.
The schools in my day now, there were two schools. There was the Convent National School and the Boys National School. The Convent National School was down where the car park for the daycare centre is. A big two-storey building which was demolished. And when you were 4 years old, no matter whether you were a boy or a girl, that's the school you went to. And on the ground floor you had infants, senior infants and first class. And upstairs then you had second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth classes. So when you went to infants and you progressed to first, the boys then left the convent school and went up to the boys' school, which is now the county council offices up on the Cashel Road. So when I was finished first school in the convent school, I went up to the boys' school. Now the convent school, the nuns mostly ran the convent school. They were mostly teachers, and there were a couple of lay teachers, and one of them was a Kate Ryan. She'd be Jerry Sheehan's aunt. Jerry, you know Jerry the shop. Maria Flynn's grandfather, a grand aunt. And her sister was also in charge of the organ and the choir. And they were the only two lay teachers. All the rest were nuns. And I remember the nuns, Sister Dolores and Sister Teresita, and then there was Sister Enda. And they were all grand, you know. And the school, the partition, the rooms were partitioned with timber partitions. And from about 8 feet up, you had glass the whole way up. So you could nearly hear what was happening in the next class, you know, if anyone was making noise or anything, you know. But anyway, they had a lovely boiler there, big boiler for central heating. And that was a very comfortable school. But when you went up to the boys' school, you had these big high ceilings, limestone walls, big rooms, and a fire smaller than that. And you might have 3 sods of turf smouldering away inside in the fire. So we in those days we all wore short pants. There were no long pants, there were no track suits or any of these things. We all wore short pants. And in the winter it was so cold, we used to get what we call ire here on our legs from the pants rubbing off our legs. And we used to get chilblains in our ears and chilblains in our hands. And that was the state of the school at the time. And behind the school you had an old clay yard, and there was an old shed then behind. It's up against the railway lines, and you had a shed then where the lads from the country was bringing their lunches and eat them over there, you know. And of course they used to throw what was left of their lunch on the ground, and the place was crawling with rats. we had rats there every day. We had rats. So that was the boys' school. So in the boys' school, then you had first, second, and third class in one room. You had fourth and fifth class in another room, and then you had sixth and seventh class in another room. And we had three teachers. One was Mr. Granville. He did 1, 2, and 3. We used to call him Vicky because his name was Vicky Granville, you know. So we used to call him Vicky. And then we had Jimmy Herbert in fourth and fifth class, and we called him Baldy because he was Baldy. And then we had the head principal was Liam P. O'Connor. He was a real gaily goer, you know, and he bet the Irish into us. Yeah. So that was school in my day, and we had none of the comforts you have now, I'm telling you.
What type of games did you play in school?
Well, you see, we only had an old clay yard. You couldn't play any games really, you know. But what we used to play was horses and jockeys. You'd have a small little lad out of maybe first or second class, and he'd have a fellow out of sixth class who would be the horse, and he'd be the jockey, and he'd be up on his back, and we'd try and pull each other off. They'd try and pull the jockey off the horse's back, and the stronger the horse and the stronger the jockey won the. That's the only game we used to play, you know. Yeah, we used to play hurling matches up along the street. And we used to play rounders, you know, rounders like baseball. And we'd have four little corners. One would be at the pole at our shop, and the other would be across at the fountain, and both trees at the fountain, and the other one at everyone's stone. And we'd run around, you see, and hit the ball, you know. And we used to use the end wall of the library, the one facing the chemist shop there. That was our ball alley. We used to play handball off that wall the whole time, you know. And then, you see, you might hear a car, one car maybe every 2 hours. There were no cars on the road. And we'd hear the old car coming in, you see, and next of all the cop would come up and he'd run us all off the street, you see. But the minute the car was gone, we were back again, you know. So, we had we made great fun for ourselves, you know.
And did you know any fairs in Cahir?
So the fair of Cahir, it was a very renowned fair, you know, because there was even a song written about it. But the fair in Cahir was mostly held on the square, and I was living over the Lazy Bean at the time, and at maybe 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning, you'd hear all the cattle and all the sheep coming into the square. Farmers driving them in, and there was a telegraph pole outside our door, you know, and they tie their creels around the telegraph pole and put in their cattle and their sheep, and they were all over the square then, in groups like that with the cattle and the sheep, you know, and they come in at all the clocks in the morning, and they'd be trucking then and dealing the whole day long, you know, and of course we had a shop, and we had to put these railings, we used to call them, kind of barriers outside the shop to keep the cattle from coming into the windows, you know. And there was an awful dose because we had to, they were big heavy yokes, you know, and we had to bring them out and put them down and fasten them to the wall and the whole lot. And then when the fair was over, we had to take them in again and wash all the cow dung from under them. All the place was filthy, you know. So eventually they had the fire brigade hydrants, you know, the big hoses, and they used to hose all the dung off the square and off down Castle Street and into the shores down, you know. Yeah, but they weren't much good for business. The pubs did a bit of business, all right. That's about all, you know.
Jobs were in Cahir. What did people work at?
I'll tell you now. When I was growing up in Cahir, you had 140 people working in the mill over. You had 32 people working up in Burke's garage across the square. My father had a factory above. He had 30 girls working there. You had 10 working in the creamery. You had 10 working in the post office. You had, I think you had about 15 in the hotel. And all the shops, of course, had people. Nowadays, all those jobs are gone. No jobs there now. You know? But when I was growing up, there was at least 200, 250 jobs in this area, you know? So it's the sign of the times.
Were you ever involved in any plays or concerts?
All my life. All my life. I was never out of them. We used to have a little choir up in the boys' school. And during the war, the army, the 13th Battalion, they took over Cahir Abbey. You know Cahir Abbey over? Yeah. They put all their billets over there, and it was something like 1,000 of them billeted there during the war. And they used to hold little concerts over there, and we used to go over with our little choir and we'd sing in the concerts over there, you know. And then we had a priest named Father Sinnott, and he was mad into plays and all that, you know. And he got the parochial hall at the time. It was an old Burke store, you know, and he got a loan of the parochial hall, and he used to put on plays down the parochial hall. Of course, we were all inside in the plays, you know. But he was a bit daft as well as everything else, you know. But he was great fun. So anyway, then we were in plays, and we had a great dramatic society and all that up through the years, you know, and always involved. And of course, we used to sing in all the concerts and all that. That's the way. We enjoyed ourselves.
What was life like during the war?
Life during the war, but of course we were peaceful, you know. We were neutral, but all the food stuff was rationed, and people were given ration books with all little stamps on them. And if you wanted to buy that little jacket on you now, it might cost you 10. It might cost you. You might have to pay 10 stamps for it, plus the price, of course, you know. But you were limited to the number of stamps you got, like, you know. So you got stamps for tea and for bread and milk and all the essentials, you know. And we never starved. There was always enough to go around, you know. But actually, it was very peaceful in Cahir during the war. They built big roadblocks over on the bridge there, you know, these big barrel type cement blocks in the middle of the bridge to stop the enemy coming across anyway fast, you know. And so and a lot of the farmers used to put barrels out in the fields in case the airplanes would land in the fields, you know. All that kind of stuff, you know. But we had the LDF then. They were the local defence force. They were my father and a few more of them. They were stuck on it. They were recruited for it, you know, given uniforms, and that's about it. never.
And was the railway service important in Cahir?
Oh, it was very important, very important. In fact, before the railway came to Cahir, Cahir was more important than Cahir. But when Cahir got the railway, it finished Cahir, you know. Cahir was on the main road, but Cahir got the railway. So, we used to have all the beat trains, and of course we had the terrible crash up there on the bridge. A beat train coming from Clonmel. The railway line coming from Clonmel, it comes like that, and then up, and then down again, you know. So when the train, it had about 14 wagons of beat behind it, and it was coming along the track, and when it got to the top of the hill, it freewheeled down the hill into Cahir station, but the brakes failed, and they couldn't stop the train. And there was another train actually parked inside the station, So the man in the signal box, he pulled the lever and turned the oncoming train onto the siding, and the siding stopped at the bridge. So the train crashed through the siding and down through the bridge into the river. And I remember I was sleeping above behind the shop, our shop above. And I woke up with this terrible noise at about 2 o'clock in the morning. It was like, I thought it was some big tank of steam that was going to burst open the mill, you know, but it was actually the train going into the river. And the two lads who were driving the train were sandwiched up against the furnace. They were scraped off into a bag, and of course you could see the marks on the wall of the bridge above. You know, that was an awful tragedy at the time.